Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jedi Hill, where we're talking about freedom in all different aspects, whether you've already got it, whether you're working towards it, and what things you can do from self-sustainability to financial freedom, mental freedom, wherever it goes. Today's special guest is a construction expert, been in the field for over 15 years, and now looking to jump into from residential to the commercial side on the building, so he can have his generational wealth as well. Thank you so much for being on there, Leon. Wright.
Thanks, Jed. I appreciate you having me on.
So what got you interested in the construction and the building of real estate? Because we know 9 out of 10 millionaires and billionaires, coming from the real estate or save their money in real estate.
Yeah, so I've always been interested in construction since I was in school. I took a lot of drafting courses back when you had to still draft on paper, right? So through middle school and high school, I took a lot of drafting courses, which transitioned into when I went to school at Philadelphia University. I went for architecture. So I started out in architecture. I lasted 2 years, and then I decided I didn't really want to sit behind a desk all the time, which now I sit behind a desk all the time, but it's a little different. So I didn't want to sit behind a desk and draw all the time. So now I transitioned that into construction management. I got an internship in my master's year, which led me into getting a job right out of college in 2009. And then 6 months later, it was 2009, and I got laid off because I was the new guy. And then I spent 2 years out of construction and then got back into it. I've been in it since 2012, pretty much with the same company and the commercial aspect of things, so higher education and healthcare. And then now I'm just trying to leverage that and use what I know and be a little bit more confident in myself and what I know and be able to transition that to other people.
There you go. It's such a fun growth. Like I love the architecture. My dad did a lot of that when he was younger, so I got to learn it from him as opposed to having to go to school for it. And I don't mind drawing my own place, but I don't draw other people's.
Yeah, it helps in my home renovations too, so that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, it's a very useful skill, especially to build the visualization, to be able to take it from paper and make it 3D in your head.
Yeah.
And that's mental discipline. Anywhere we get it, it's how all the little pieces from our lives take us to where we are now is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So what you said, you're doing health clinics, and what else with the commercial?
So my background primarily is within new and renovations of healthcare facilities and higher education facilities. Like I'm at the University of Pennsylvania right now. We're building a new indoor track that is scheduled to be complete next September.
Nice.
Yeah.
Indoor tracks. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Got the basketball court below it too?
No, it's just a big, it's a banked indoor track for NCAA. So it'll be the first in the area. But it's basically, not to dumb it down, but it's like a big shed. So it's a big open space inside, 72,000 square feet. It's got a 200-meter banked indoor oval track and a throws area. So it's pretty cool. It's been a challenging site between what we found and the soils and all kinds of. Basically, we had the infrastructure that was there wasn't big enough. So obviously, the design team put it together. We implemented that, and we brought new power from about 1,000 feet away, and new water and utilities from 3,500 feet away.
That's quite a distance.
Yeah, all while not shutting anybody down, which is the fun part.
The logistics for all of that can be confusing, especially since 2020 we've had all these supply chain issues, so you can't even get the parts you need to take the next step and on down the line. Yeah,
that's the biggest thing that like people getting into renovations, especially heavier renovations, don't realize. Like we have now a transformers is a commercial grade transformer, but sometimes like larger multifamily buildings will have these where our transformer is 78 weeks out. That's over a year. So we released it in September of last year. We're expecting it in April of next year. So like if you don't have that figured into your plan and you're doing a new building, like you got to be careful, because you could be sitting on property that you're paying for without especially something that controls the power to your building. you're not getting any money in until that's done. So you got to plan ahead, make sure your start time's like dead on.
Whew. that I'm a little risk adverse here with my multifamily investment. I like my cash flow, and I have looked into development for some of the housing a couple years ago. I had one property I had under contract. It was across from an airport, but it was like a perfect where I could like subdivide it part commercial and put part residential. But we had to do an FAA aeronautical study for it because it was within like and the way they did it, it's like I would have had to be digging into the ground for my roof at like 10 feet below in half the property. I could only use like one little quarter of the property, 5 or 6 acres out of 60. It's like, oh, I had to walk away because you couldn't even build on it.
Yeah, when you get into the airspace.
Yeah, that's where they put it. They wanted so much, and it's like, hold on, there's a freeway right there in front of it. So you're getting at least 13, 14 feet. I should be able to build at least single story there. That's not right.
Yeah, that's little guy versus big guy right there.
Yeah. I just wasn't going to go for the fight with the federal government on something to develop property. So we can find somewhere else. But these are all the little things you got to watch out for. There are so many nuances. And if you don't do your due diligence, you're in trouble and you're increasing your risk tremendously.
Yeah, you can get into certain areas. Even our project, it was fully designed, and I stepped in and they asked me to look into the permitting process. So I was like, okay, cool. And we started looking into it, and I asked the questions like, hey, did you guys realize that we're not in there's floodplains in Philadelphia, and they base their building permits off the 30-year and the 100-year floodplain. So while our building wasn't in the 30-year floodplain, it was still in the 100-year floodplain, and they had to completely like redesign a portion of the building because of that. Now, I'm like, we're 6 months away from starting, and then we had to redesign that portion of the building.
Which means you now have to look at different supplies for materials that could be backdated. Oh, just the ripple effects.
And this had been in design for 2.5 years before I even got on board. So it's just looking at little things like that. It's the details and it's the little things that really bite you and cause you to lose a lot of money.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you don't have the cash to like have that stuff stocked ahead of time, and I'm sorry, even the big boys aren't doing that because those transformers, what, a couple $100,000 a piece just for the transformer for a building that size?
Yeah, probably between 50 and 100,000.
Yeah, you're not going to keep a stack of 6 or 7 of those off to the side. No. You're going to reinvest that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So what are you doing in your own life to expand your level of freedom in different areas? Like you're doing what you love, which makes it fun, so you're not stressed out.
Yeah. So just about 2 years ago, I had joined the mastermind group. So just full disclosure for myself, I'm in recovery, sober from alcohol. So 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, I was a really low point in my life, but looking back on it, thankful for my wife to continue to stick by my side, continue to push me. I got to a point where I did a lot of work on myself in the beginning of that, and my wife started a business at the same time, and I put a lot into that just to kind of support her because I knew it was a lot. And I always told myself I'm not a business person, so I can't do my own thing. I've always told myself that I don't understand it, I can't do it. There's no possible way. So we had just moved into a new house. My wife was down the shore for I think the rest of the summer. It was like June, July. And I asked her, I was like, hey, I was on a call. I just jumped on, one of those calls that you see on Instagram. It was with, I don't know if you know, Nick Santastasso. And I was just like, all right, maybe I should, I texted my wife, I was like, hey, what do you think? And she's like, go for it. I wasn't expecting that answer. So I was like, oh crap, now I have no excuse not to do it. So I joined. I ended up staying for 6, 7, 8 months, just working on mindset stuff. I made connections with a gentleman named Jamie Gruber.
I know Jamie. Yeah, the multifamily board group. Shout out to you, Jamie.
Yes, so that is. I met him, and he's the guy that I really resonated with in the group. So they had health calls, they had relationship calls, they had mindset calls, and they had wealth calls on this mastermind. So it was really cool. It was kind of like a holistic approach. And he was just the guy that I resonated with. I don't come from any line of money or anything like that. I would come from that, blue collar worker, work 3 jobs just to make sure you're getting, through. Savings was never really a big thing. Thankfully in college, at least I got pushed towards a 401k, which I'm finding out probably wasn't the best thing either. But hey, I have money now that I can deploy. So in September of, I think it was just last year. No, before that. I'm losing my timeline. So I ended up, it was actually about a year ago. So about a year ago, my mastermind time ran out. I didn't want to renew because I was looking to go a different direction. So I joined Emerge. At the time, it was called Emerge, which actually it's back to Emerge now. So it's a little confusing. So they have 2 levels. It's all by GoBundance. GoBundance is a high level, high net worth, investors, business owners, real estate, multifamily storage, all kinds of different investors. A lot of people that basically work for themselves, again, which it scares me still.
But you step in the right direction. You have an amazing wife. Praise her, because happy wife, happy life. And guys, if you don't really know this, the woman you're with is the best financial decision you will ever make in your life, because she's either going to elevate you and keep you moving forward, or she's going to drag you down. Mm-hmm. So you got a good one, and you got a leg up on 98% of people right there.
Yeah. Yes, that's really what led me to where I am. And actually, Jamie's multifamily and work group, I was trying to get one started in South Jersey, and at the time, this was a little over a year ago, I had no idea what multifamily was other than it's big buildings, right?
So you're over in Southern Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that group ended up getting started, and there was a guy that had started it up. So I got in contact with him. We had one little meetup. It was me, him, and one other guy. One other guy actually is in Emerge with me, which I found out later. And then the guy that I met with, his name is Brad Hrea. He's actually now my coach. So that's how.
Okay, yes. I just met with Brad here a couple months ago when I was in Jersey looking at another property.
Yeah. So he's
I've known him for a couple of years. He's a good guy.
He's been my coach since June of last year. And I've learned a ton from him, but between him and the group that I'm in Emerge, it's just continuing to keep pushing me. And I look back, I had a guy post a question on LinkedIn the other day, and I started writing down everything that I've taken step towards over the last 2 years. And I was like, it just made me realize how far and how much I've learned without, because I'm always second guessing myself. That's still something that I struggle with. And it was nice to just kind of put it all down, real quick, short paragraph, but it was I've done this. Oh yeah, by the way, I still am working on my own house, renovating my own house. We moved our kitchen in our house from one area of the house to another. And
that's a lot of work with the plumbing and the electrical.
Yeah, the electrical definitely, and we had structural work done. So, my wife's still running her business, and last year was an insane year, but it was a good year. It was a lot of lessons learned. And I still have my kids, and they're doing sports and school and homework and playing outside and trying to manage it all. And it's
people, you have no excuse not to go for your dreams. We got a man here. You got the kids. You got the wife having a different business. You can do it. We all have the same 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of our priorities.
Yeah, it's just the hardest part's been managing it all. And last year I spent a lot of time building the businesses. As of August of last year, I opened 3 LLCs in my own name. And then my intentionality for this year is family and health. So I actually had my son challenge me. I told him, look, when you get home from school, you have to, and I get home from work, you have to say, hey, Dad, go get on the Peloton. Because if I don't do it, I'm not going to do it. So, and my deal with him was, I'll do the Peloton and you get to watch YouTube until I'm done. So if I don't do the Peloton, I can't tell him to turn YouTube on. So we made it a little deal. He's holding me accountable, and then he's holding up his end. He turns off YouTube when it's done. Now he's playing outside now that it's nice out, but it's been cool.
Again, the next time, put him to work. Kids are for free labor.
Work. He asked me more questions about certain things than I ever did at that age. And then my younger son, being that I work in construction, thinks I build everything. So it's pretty cool. Like, no, buddy, I don't do everything, but I appreciate it.
Hey, it's a fun stage where they still see us as idols before they deflate.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And it's funny how small the world is when you get into the investing. Like, even when you start getting bigger people, there aren't that many people in the different niches. Like, when you look at the mobile home parks, there's only like a dozen or 2 dozen really big people in that field, and everybody else is smaller.
Yeah. I'm okay with
And
being the smaller guy, to be honest with you. I don't need to be the big guy. I just want to be enough to be comfortable to set my kids up, set their kids up.
generational wealth. And it doesn't take as much as people think about it. Like,
Yeah.
you're at a stage within the next few years, you're not going to have to work the day job. Your honey's business will keep growing, and then your job is to start firing yourself in every way you can to replace yourself in your business and hire people.
Yeah. Yep. And I still struggle with that because it's usually like, oh, I got to do this task today, and I remember to do it. So I know it just comes with systems and writing it all down, and then
I know,
just
like,
finding the right person.
some of the little stuff, like, we do not cut our grass here. Like, I do not have the time because we have a really big yard, so it's almost an acre. And it's
I know that.
It's like, if you're hand mowing it, that's a 3-4 hour job with all this weed eating, everything else. It's like, no, I can go make more money in that 3-4 hours. Go away.
Yeah, we bought an old horse farm, and it's just over 5 acres, so I got a whole field to cut. So I get it. I'm not there yet. It's a little bit more than I can afford monthly to cut that thing.
Yeah, but at least with the farm, you can actually get hay and stuff like that. So, not just the way Grandma always did it, who lived on the farm. They mow right around the house and let the rest of it turn into garden or hay, and you're being self-sufficient.
Yeah, we're getting there.
And that's huge. That's more than just the money, because it's like, even people, the majority of those over 6 figures are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Yep, that's me.
You live in a more expensive area,
Yeah.
So anywhere you can be self-sufficient, especially with the inflation. So, you have the ability to grow crops that a lot of people don't do, that saves you countless thousands in grocery bills with kids.
Yeah. Yeah. We get eggs,
especially if they're teenagers.
Yeah. My sons are definitely starting to eat more.
So what are some of your next steps? Where are you thinking of going on your journey to have more freedom and increase your sovereignty?
Yeah, so just earlier this year, I formed a partnership with 3 other guys we're kind of pulled some of our money together, and we're looking into buying a short-term rental property. Right now, we're actually waiting to hear back on financing for a property in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Ah, very cool.
I've never been to. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if any of us have ever been to Alaska, but the market's good and the numbers work out. If we can get the financing in place, and we can keep moving forward. So that's one step to start getting cash flow. It's not necessarily that's not an equity builder per se in the short-term rental field. But I also am looking to invest in larger multifamily, probably 30 plus units in either Des Moines, Iowa or Jacksonville. It's 2 totally different markets. So Des Moines,
but they're much better, because the eviction stuff where you're at in Jersey is not good. Like, that's why everybody does. But I looked into it because I was looking at a property there. We were down in Stone Harbor looking, and short-term rentals are okay because they're not treated the same as normal tenants. They're treated like the hotel industry. So worst you can have is them there for an extra day or so.
Yeah. We have a place down in Wildwood, and we rent it out just basically to cover the expenses for the year. But I know Jersey's, between the taxes and the regulation. No thanks. I have a house here. I'm good enough.
Yes, I was actually looking at some bigger ocean properties for the marinas and stuff in the state, because I need ocean access for my projects.
Atlantic City is starting to turn around. Property values are starting to go up there a lot.
They actually have a new amusement park that's supposed to be coming out this year too, which will be a huge tourist draw. So if you're hitting something in the tourist business, it could be good. I would definitely not do multifamily though.
No, That's not up my wheelhouse. That's why I always I got asked actually by pretty much every person I ran into in Iowa, because I went out there in December, which I don't necessarily advise if you're traveling there for the first time. But I got a break. It was actually kind of nice when I went there. It was like in the 40s, so it wasn't too bad. There was like everyone was like, "Why are you investing in Iowa?" And I was like, "It was one of the places that I looked at originally. It has a lot of potential growth. I found out it has a lot more than I knew about, and they're expanding in a big way, both west and north.
Mhm.
And then
And
Jacksonville,
then,
it's Florida.
yeah, 300,000 people a year are moving to Florida.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They have enough now that even with the downturn, they might just level off instead of going down as much as some of the other areas like they have in the past. But we'll have to wait and
Yeah.
see how.
Yeah, and Florida is a much more hot and cold market, and it's one of those more erratic type markets, right? Whereas Des Moines, Iowa is a very more stabilized type. It's not as many highs, but there's
Mhm.
also not as many lows.
Well, that's why Zillow puts Cleveland, Ohio market as number 2 in the country, because we didn't go up as much as everybody else, but
Hmm.
you can still buy cash flowing properties.
Yeah,
Like I personally am looking for a 10 cap with a value add, which is almost unheard of in anywhere else in the country.
yeah,
People are like, that doesn't exist. It's like, how come now? It's like my one over here is better than that. It's like, no, they're all better than that.
nice.
I'm if you get the stuff on market, you might get an 8 cap, but that's still way better than your Texas with the 4 and all this other stuff that can't even pay debt
Yeah,
service
man.
now.
Yeah, between Texas and Arizona, those two states blew up. Well, Phoenix and Austin and Dallas.
Mhm.
I'm in Austin now, so I'm looking forward to looking around and walking around and getting to know the area. It's my first time in Texas, so
Very cool. How's the weather down that
I
way?
wore my favorite shirt to Texas. So, we'll see.
So how's the weather down that way today?
Very humid. Apparently, we're supposed to get a lot of rain the time that I'm here, but
Yeah.
kind of used to it. Whenever we go somewhere, it's always raining or something.
Speaking of Texas, I haven't looked at the results for it yet, but like right around before our talk was supposed to be the launch of the new Starlink, or not Starlink, but his big spaceship that'll actually make it all the way to Mars.
Oh, nice.
Supposed to be their orbital test flight 2-day on 420. So, so what's a good way for people to get a hold of you there, Leon?
So I have a couple things. I actually do run a multi-family short-term rental group on Facebook. And it's called Multifamily and Short-Term Rental Shortcuts on Facebook. And then either my personal Instagram, which is Leon P. Wright, LeonPWRIGHT at Gmail, or at Gmail. That's my email. At gmail.com is my email. And then that's also my Instagram handle. I also
Hey, at
have
least it's all the same.
I have 2 business ones, Investing in Life Made Easy. So I am an overthinker. So my gift back is to try and undo some of the overthinking that I've done in some of my posts. So I have it both on Instagram and TikTok. It's Investing in Life Made Easy.
There you go. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for being on here, Leon. And look, everybody, Leon's a classic example. You find your goal, you move towards it. Doesn't matter what step along the way you are. Just stand up and take the effort to get your freedom, because nobody's going to save you. This is Jedi signing off.
Thank you.